Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman on the phone. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. Today's trivia theme is coaches of the NBA 1980s to 2000s. Okay?
I have a shot at that.
You got a shot at that one. All right. When we come back, we have lots to talk about. Sha'Carri Richardson, want to talk a little bit about her. Fans.
Sha'Carri.
Sha'Carri. Is that how you pronounce it? Sha'Carri?
Sha'Carri. Yep.
Sha'Carri. Okay. I'll spell it differently, and then that way I'll do it phonetically.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about the fans being out of control in golf tournaments. Japan declaring a state of emergency for no fans, i.e. no fans at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
There's something called the Overtime Elite, a league backed by sports media companies.
Oh, yeah, Jalen Lewis.
There you go.
Yep.
And
man.
And Nigeria beating the USA in basketball. If you saw that game, that was interesting. And
not only that, they lost to Australia.
Okay. So when I wrote this, they had only lost to Nigeria at the time.
Yeah, no. They lost. Yeah, they lost to Australia too.
And Australia. Okay. And let's see. Then the last thing I have on my list here was about Denver. There was a possible mass shooting that apparently was avoided. That made.
Thank goodness for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. So those are the various topics we're going to cover, along with some other stuff. NBA, the finals could be over by the time this show airs in a few days. All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments, currently yielding over 7%, secured by real estate. You don't get better than that. You got to check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. All right. First on my list here, Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri. I did it again. Sha'Carri Richardson. I like saying Sha'Carri. Sha'Carri Richardson. It's a little thing I had here was that I was reading that she may be more valuable to sponsors after her failed drug test due to her name recognition and sympathy for marijuana users. And it's interesting because I guess is it taboo? Like, I understand steroid use from the standpoint of that enhances your performance. Has anyone even thought that marijuana enhances performance?
No, but these rules that were put together were rules that were put together by somebody by a group that lives in the 50s, and it's a list that has to be updated. I mean, we all know that marijuana does not improve your performance.
Yeah, if anything, it kind of makes you a little bit lackluster, maybe.
and we're certainly sympathetic to Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah.
In an interview with a reporter, was informed that her biological mother had passed away, and
really?
I mean, can you imagine just finding out about something like that? Your mother or father during an interview, and so she was upset, and she. Up there in Oregon, where obviously marijuana is legal, she took to that as a calming move, and then got popped for because it is a banned substance on the list. And so I guess in the world of rules are rules, that's why she isn't going to be competing at the Tokyo Olympic Games.
Yeah, I mean, if this was during the Prohibition era, they could have said, if we find that you've had whiskey or beer, right?
Yeah.
Then they could have done it that way. So
pretty much like that. Yep.
Yeah. So it's more of a cultural taboo rather than a performance enhancing taboo.
Yeah, but you are right. I mean, it got she drew a tremendous amount of sympathy. I mean, and it's just permeated by the day. In fact, in the recent ESPN ESPY Awards, she was spotlighted even then and praised even then And there was a thought that this 1 month ban, by the time it was lifted, she might be able to compete in the 400-meter relay race, which is scheduled for August 3rd. But in the end, at the end of the day, they decided, nah, she's not going to be part of the U.S. Olympic team, which is really sad, because these athletes, they've worked all their life for this moment. And
is she claiming that the only time that she's had marijuana was because of her mother passing?
No, she's not claiming that. Okay. And she was upfront about it. She goes, "Hey, look, I knew what I was doing, and I knew that it was wrong, but I chose to do that to grieve, and I will therefore suffer the consequences. I'm a big girl, and that's what I'm going to do." So she really handled it.
Yeah, and it's funny because one feels sorry for her, because, like you said, they trained so hard for this basically one event or one day or one Olympics,
one shining moment.
Yep. However, when you step back from it, again, like as this one article talked about, this from just a money standpoint, which money's not everything, but just looking at it analytically for just a minute financially, this may have been the best thing that ever happened to her, because if she did really well in the Olympics, especially like in a relay, she's just one person among others. And she may have gotten a little sponsorship and this sort of thing, but this is like placing her totally outside the box and it's not like, she murdered anybody, right? I mean, it's like you hear the circumstances, and now marijuana's not such a big deal, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's like she's the underdog. She got done wrong, and she may end up making a lot more money because of this.
Yeah, I could see.
And I also know a lot of people that have said they're not going to watch the Olympics because of the way that she was treated.
Yeah,
the people are that upset about the injustice, and that how many other chances, like you see people like Armstrong get, or when they really were using truly performance enhancing drugs.
Exactly.
And there were so many jokes about the East Germans in the 60s and 70s using steroids like it was going out of style. And these are the fact that marijuana stays in your system for 2 to 3 weeks indicates that you really don't know when someone is actually using it. You don't know when they are high. You don't know necessarily when someone, obviously a joint that you smoke 2 weeks later is not going to have any kind of effect on what you're doing right now. So, I do think that there's a lot of Byzantine stuff, and I think this might be the lowest rated Olympics in television history.
Well, maybe there's like this cultural thing of, gee, we don't want to support drugs for kids. Who knows? Maybe that's the attitude. I don't know, but I was going to move on.
She's not a kid.
No. I know, but like a role model for kids type of thing. And again, I'm just speculating on stuff, but
I don't know. It's no different than someone drinking. Someone who
that's true. Yeah, I mean, if they're going out and getting drunk, you're right. And Japan,
in all the states where it's legal, you really shouldn't have any more stigma for smoking marijuana than you would if you had a beer or
that's true. No, you're right.
If I'm Sha'Carri Richardson's agent, or if I'm her father, I just go, look, Sha'Carri, here's how we handle it. The Olympics will go on, and whoever is the champion at the 100-meter race, there are going to be other worldwide events that you will compete in. Yeah. And when that race happens, go out there and show the world
exactly
who the true champion is.
Yeah, and people will not forget.
She was the United States' best chance to win that event.
Yeah.
Since 1996.
And you wonder how much of that has to do with her being USA, like if this happened to somebody who is, Japanese or Russian or something, would they have the same, hopefully they would treat the rules the same. But Japan declaring a state of emergency, they're not going to be any fans of the Olympics. And just as Russell said, this, it would probably be a low rated Olympics because of Sha'Carri. but also just no fans at the Olympics. There's something about watching something on TV with fans and without fans. I mean, experience that with the NBA. You know, there's just something about the excitement of fans cheering.
Can you imagine opening night ceremony, the big stadium, you know, the parade of countries to an empty house? Can you just
yeah.
It's just so weird. I mean, I'm going to tune in. I just want to see that. I want to see how that unfolds. And I've been interviewing local Olympic athletes who have qualified and are going. And we talked about that, about how that, you know, that's going to come up, and that's one of the big perks. So you get to come in with your team, and you're all dressed up, and this, that, and the other, the pageantry, the cell phones, and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
And then there's so many events where an athlete feeds off the energy of the crowd.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to be there.
It'll be a little eerie. And I was going to ask you when we come back, remind me about this, is how ratings have been for your side of the equation of being TV reporting. All right, we're going to go to the first trivia question. Talking coaches of the NBA 1980s to 2000s. Let's see how you know your history here. Doc Rivers coached which team from 1999 to 2003? He's been around. All right.
Yeah.
That's our trivia question. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. The answer to this question. Doc Rivers coached which team from 1999 to 2003? All right. Stay with us. You are listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101 one more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. First trivia question, Doc Rivers coached which NBA team from 1999 to 2003?
My first guess is the Boston Celtics.
Atlanta?
You know, I would have thought the Celtics also, but no, the Orlando Magic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well now.
And it wasn't just 1 year. I mean, that was
first
4 years worth. Yeah, I totally had forgotten about that. I know it's, 20 years ago, but still, Orlando.
Was Shaq on any of those teams, 1999?
I'd have to look.
I think that was right after he left.
Yeah, I think he'd already gone to the Lakers by then.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what year Shaq came into the league, because he only was with them for a couple of years, and then he got traded to LA.
To the Lakers, right?
Yeah, so,
right.
Vern, let me ask you, with the lackluster fan base of sports in the arena, and also people just kind of, it's just not as exciting watching on TV. From your side of the equation of reporting, do you guys? I mean, I guess CBS has got to track the audience watching you,
Right.
How has that shifted? Let's say from 2019 to 2020, 2021 so far.
Well, ratings have been in steady decline, especially since these came out.
The phone, which Vern is showing his cell phone. Yeah.
Exactly. So, that said, the big thing that not just CBS but all the big networks, the big thing that these networks have had to hang their hat on are live sporting events. People will watch live events.
Yeah.
Hardly anybody actually will tape a game and then watch it later. I mean, they want to see it as it happens. Super Bowl, World Series, NBA Finals, that Stanley Cup. They will do that. And the Olympics.
Because you got otherwise you got to hide in a hole, because if you're on social media, everyone's going to say, "Oh, how about those Lakers?"
Yeah,
how about
exactly.
Those Niners?
Yeah.
Russ is right. I mean, there's just no getting away from it. And so, so then you have a pandemic that's just kind of like just blown the lid off of everything. You can have the live sporting events, but look at all the restrictions, and it affects the advertisers. Now, everybody's got a sales department. Everybody has sold advertising, sold time on the networks, and that said, there has been a seismic break on the advertising rate that these companies have been given in order to be able to advertise their product, because they realize nobody's watching, or the numbers have or a fraction of their former selves.
Is it? And it's hitting radio as well, isn't it?
It's radio, yes. It's done that. So these networks are losing money, but the networks are gaining a share of the revenue from all of these leagues who have paid big money to make sure that their product is being seen worldwide on the air. But it takes nobody wants to see how the sausage is made, but it takes it takes a huge amount of money to produce these live sporting events. I mean, you just can't cut down on manpower, or it affects the overall product. So so the networks are losing money through advertising, and it's been a trickle down effect. And
except for the Super Bowl, they always seem to raise the price on the 30-second and 60-second commercials.
Yeah, but the fortunate thing for everybody, the Super Bowl happened before the pandemic really hit. The pandemic hit March of 2020. The Super Bowl is first Sunday in February. So I mean, there was just no effect there.
Yeah, 2021 though, but you had Brady, back in the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay,
right?
And so it seemed like it still was an all-time high, if I remember correctly, the advertising for that. But again, that's a Super Bowl; it's a one event. Everyone just sort of waits for that one event.
The fortunate thing for the networks is that the Super Bowl had Tom Brady playing in it.
Yeah,
and Tom Brady moves the needle, as the cliche goes,
especially with a different team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And normally the Olympics are a big, advertising buildup, and there's a lot of stuff that gets ready for the Olympics. You certainly look at the NBA or the basketball team, the Team USA basketball was, normally.
Yeah, normally that
Olympics.
especially with
I've heard that Peacock.
Yeah. Well, Russell, you're kind of cutting in and out, but we know
I've
what
heard
you're
the
getting
Peacock
at.
Network is trying to set.
Russell,
the Peacock Network is trying to sell $5 a month. Oh, sorry, I just got to Gungay Bridge.
$5.
The Peacock Network is trying to sell. Yeah, $5 a month passes
for
watch the USA Olympic basketball team.
Well, to go off of what Russ has been saying, yes, you're right. I mean, the network, the NBC network, which paid billions of dollars for the exclusive rights to the Olympics, are losing their shirt, and so they're trying to find all kinds of ways, any way they can, to make some of this money back. So they're offering all these deals for the consumer to buy into it. And there's all these different ways to watch the Olympic Games, whether it's MSNBC or CNBC or the Peacock Network or these backdoor streaming deals. They try to do anything they can to make sure that the product is sold and they get money coming in. But even with that, they're going to be losing their shirt.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the statistics were for 1980 when Carter decided, you know what, we're going to boycott the Olympics because of Afghanistan and Russia, and the Olympics just weren't the same for us.
No,
because it's like we didn't have anybody in it, and then '84 Russia goes ahead and boycotts it, which it was a big deal because they had it's a big country with a lot of participants. But we still watched it because USA was in it, and so we're going against France and Germany and all.
And not only that, cable had not exploded yet.
Yeah,
there was no internet. There was anything. So the only way you could actually see what was going on would be to actually grab your clicker and tune in. That was it.
But that was also '84 was in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, so that was, I was going to point out, another thing that's going to make this Olympics even tougher is the time difference in Japan versus America. You're not going to be able to watch many live events unless you're willing to stay up till 4 a.m. or 7 a.m. for start time for a lot of these events. And who's going to want to stay up for that?
Is it what's the difference? Is it 19 hours? Is it something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something crazy like that.
Oh,
Well, if it
wow.
was 24 hours, it'd be exactly the same. It'd be okay. You know?
I can remember when I covered the Sydney games in 2000.
Yeah.
That was way over the deadline. But when I did live shots back to San Francisco,
yeah,
the events that were going to be covered on our air, or that were going to be broadcast on our air, had already taken place.
wow.
And so we had to go on the air and pretend that these things had not happened yet.
Well, you could tell in your voice there was an excitement when you were.
Oh yeah. I can't wait to see so and so tonight and how that's going to be involved. But all that's happening tonight on KRON.
Did your friends call you to see if you could play some bets? Because they hadn't known what happened yet.
Oh man, that would have been something.
But now with the internet,
but here's the great thing. So it was 2000, right?
Yeah.
And so cell phones like these had not been really
correct.
Come on, yeah. So we have the old flip phones. I think,
yeah.
and the rate per minute.
Oh yeah, that's right. $1 a minute or something.
Oh my God! Oh, you would have lost your mind.
Yeah.
On the bill for this. Oh my God.
Yeah. I still remember that. My first cell phone, it was in 1993. It was that Motorola 550. So it had that little flip thing. It was kind of a big back.
Yeah.
And you got 60 minutes. I mean, it was like awesome. I had 60 minutes free. And after that, it was $1 a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I had a friend. It's so funny because his plan wouldn't charge you until it actually hit the minute mark. So what he would do is literally put his phone, like he'd have a timer on it. And when it hit like 55 seconds, he would tell me, okay, Edward, I got to hang up and call you right back. I'm serious. He did that every times in the same conversation. I said,
great.
Wow.
Doug, come on. Just we're only going to be another 30 seconds. Just pay the $1,
I know. Crazy.
Okay, you guys ready for the second trivia question?
Okay, bring it on.
Coaches of the NBA, the 1980s to 2000s. Which team did Tim Floyd coach from 1998 to 2001? So you're talking, 3-4 years. All right. And you'll have heard of this team.
Well, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think we know the answer.
I see Vern smiling. I knew Russell was going to chime in on that. Yes, they're still around. Okay. Which team did Tim Floyd coach from 1998 to 2001? And when we come back,
well, we know it's not the Bobcats.
It's not the Bobcats. That is correct. When we come back, I want to talk about what's going on in golf with these crazy fans. And I think it may be a kind of a precursor of things to come. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman here. Which team did Tim Floyd coach from 1998 to 2001?
The Chicago Bulls.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, I was going to say Indiana, so you got me on that one.
Okay, so right now it's 1-0, right? Because you both missed the first one. We'll keep track. We'll see if you guys know the next one too. That's a kind of a. I'm trying to remember. This guy also had a little bit of traveling time, like Doc Rivers from team to team. Let's see. Okay,
that was the big thing. He was I believe he was the guy following the guy. I think he came in after Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up, because it was, just otherwise it would have been just sort of a, what kind of a question is that? All right. So fans seem to be a bit out of control. And I'm wondering if maybe it's a little bit too much of the isolation during COVID. So this guy apparently walks up to Rory McIlroy and takes one of his golf clubs,
The best thing about that clip is I encourage people to just pull it up. Best thing is the reaction.
Yes.
Immediately after it happened, he was.
No, just like.
It's like.
What's this guy doing?
Yeah.
Maybe he's going to clean my club or whatever. I mean, that's got to take some real gumption to just. And it's not just anybody. It's someone who's pretty well known.
Yeah.
Just take his club. And so, I'm thinking, okay, there's that. And then if you guys remember about a week or so ago during the Tour de France, some person decided to hold up a sign, basically kind of like, because they knew all the bicyclists.
They translated the sign read "Go grandmother and grandfather," but the sign was so tremendously long, they stuck it out right in the field of traffic of the bikers, and then it hit one biker, and that biker went down, and then so did like bowling pins. A huge chunk of it went down.
I mean, it's amusing to watch. Just it's sort of like watching a car wreck. It's amusing, but for the people in it, though, and I know that person was not being brazen, like the guy taking the golf club, but people, it used to be where there.
Yeah, I mean, we look at what happened in the NBA games, in like Atlanta and New York.
Wait, I never remember some just fans going on the court just being stupid. Was that what it was?
Sure. Well, and the bodyguard hanging out,
Oh yeah, on Kevin Durant.
Just people have forgotten how to behave at sporting events. You take a year off from, it's almost like we almost have to take a class. The whole nation needs to take a class on how to attend sporting events.
I'm surprised this didn't happen in Portland. With all the anarchy that's going there, it's sort of this brazen, hey, I'm going to do what I want to do, and you can't stop me, and Ted, put your hands on me, and I'm going to yell.
Are you talking about the people of Portland? Or are you talking about Damian Lillard?
Yeah. Well, he's allowed on the court.
Yeah, but if you're talking about someone who's just saying, "I want to do what I want to do," and I'm in control. It sounds like you're talking about Damian Lillard.
That's true. Hey, what's going to happen with him?
He's going to leave. It's yet another instance of a guy signing a max contract and 2 years later saying, I need to be traded. I mean, that's kind of the trend of pro sports is once you sign someone to a long-term contract, better be prepared in 2 years to trade that guy to wherever he feels like going and wherever he thinks he's going to have a good time.
And how easy is it for some other team to pick up that contract?
I don't know.
Well, if it's Damian Lillard, you're only glad to pick up the contract.
How old is he now? How old is he now?
Only like 26 or 27.
Yeah,
he's still that young? Guy, he seems like he's been in the
he is the absolute face of the franchise.
I know, and the thing is,
losing a guy like Lillard.
And is it strictly the idea of, hey, I want to be on a winning team, I want to finally get my championship? Because he's probably got all the money in the world that he needs, right?
Yeah, but when when Portland's been that close, and for whatever reason they lose, let's say it's a 5-game series and they lose game 5, and this keeps happening over and over again because they just can't get over that hump. I'm sure it's frustrating to Dame, who's you're right. I mean, his brand will be fine wherever he goes, but he's loyal to the team that reached out and drafted him when nobody else would. Yeah. But he is the sole reason really you want to check out the Portland Trailblazers. Yeah. And if I'm management, boy, you give him whatever he wants. I mean, he is the poster child for Rip City basketball.
Now, is it at the point where he's basically going to say, listen, I'll stick around, but you got to get these players on my team?
No, he wants out.
But I've not seen that direct quote publicly. Okay. I want out. I haven't seen it, but maybe Russ has more information than I do. But
I've heard a lot of talk that that he really has had it with Portland, and he doesn't want Portland to wait for Portland to tinker with what they have. He sees what went on in Brooklyn. He sees what's gone on in other cities where they add one piece and they're ready to win a title.
Hey, the Suns, finally getting Chris Paul.
Well, maybe the window is closing a little bit because I looked up. Damian Lillard is 30 years old.
Yeah, I didn't think he was in his 20s anymore. I mean, but it's still 30 is still fine. I mean, isn't Chris Paul 36?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. You're,
playing at a high level. You know,
so let's just say there's a 5-year window for him to go out and win it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he
And the thing is too,
but he
with
just
being a point guard, you know, there's only so many teams. Like he couldn't go to the Warriors because it just wouldn't make a.
there's
You know,
talk about it right now.
wouldn't make
Well, the Warriors couldn't afford it. They
There's
Yeah,
talk
but even if
about-
they could, though, I mean, if you got someone like Steph, you know, you're not going to add someone like Lillard. It doesn't make that much sense, does it?
There's a lot of talk about it, actually, that they would possibly trade Wiggins and Wiseman and the number 7 and the number 14 all for Lillard, and they make Clay a small forward and maybe try to re-sign Oubre to be a small forward and play Looney and Draymond as their basically sole big man.
But you know, it's interesting because when C.J. McCollum, you know, with Lillard, that actually worked pretty well. You know, they seem to team up pretty well. So I guess, you know, it is possible.
It hasn't won them anything. It hasn't won
True,
them
but
anything.
I mean, you know, it's not just a 2-man game. So I guess you know, you'd also look at other places really that would really need a strong.
Yeah, here's the report. Damian Lillard, by the way, a 6-time All-Star. He hasn't officially requested a trade, but there is sentiment, as Russ alluded to, around the league that he could look to move on in the offseason. So there is. I mean, there is discussion. I mean, look at us. We're discussing it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he may want to come to the Warriors just because that's his hometown.
Right. And you know, in a league now where offense is king, you know, maybe you just forget about playing, you know, big at all and just go micro-sized and just have guys that can shoot like crazy.
Okay. Hey,
You know,
you guys,
close to what the Nets have.
let's move on for just a minute, but stay with basketball. So Nigeria and, when we're recording this show, Australia beating the USA. So, you know, it's funny. I'm wondering who played for Nigeria who was a known name.
Probably the only name that you would know would be a guy named Epe Udo, who played for the Warriors for a cup of coffee. But the rest, but there is an assembly of guys on that team who play in the NBA, and the numbers are growing of players of Nigerian descent in the league, and there's a lot of them. And
who is their coach?
In fact, the coach is Mike Brown. I did a lengthy interview with Mike Brown, who's a Warriors assistant.
Okay, and does he have ties to Nigeria?
He was asked to coach the Nigerian team, and he coached them in international play last season.
Okay, because I didn't know that there was any like.
So when they formed and qualified to play in this pre-Olympic tournament, it made sense to have Mike Brown as the head coach, and he graciously accepted it. And he said, he told me in an interview that personally, he's honored, and there's just a little feather in his cap to be an Olympic coach. So he's and I've seen him. I've seen him in action. I've seen him in practice with the Nigerian team. They were practicing at a community college in the East Bay, and you can hear him from the parking lot.
Oh, really?
I mean, just not screaming, not in your face, but I mean, but he's very demonstrative and how the offense should be run and how we run certain plays and this, that, and the other.
He seems like a really good guy.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he just has that look about him that you just can tell he's a really good guy.
Always smiling. But he all business in the court in practice, and it's.
I'm just really glad.
Yeah, he's one of those, run it again, know it's this way, swing it this way. Yeah, he's very, very hands-on. So
I'm glad that Steph Curry is nowhere near these Olympics. I think that it was a big mistake for a lot of these players to continue right after a super long season where they've gotten no rest whatsoever, and they're right. I mean, the NBA Finals are still going on.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of these players, I think they're exhausted, and they really are kind of like nailing it in and just saying, well, if we win, we win. If we lose, what's the big deal? As long as we don't get hurt, we're, the NBA is what really matters, and a gold medal would be nice, but it's really window dressing.
So much different than the dream team, I mean, because even the other players of other teams, they just wanted to get their picture taken with these guys.
Yeah, but to be fair though, and I guess no one wants to pay attention to it, nobody wants to bring it up, but these players in these other countries, I mean, they play in European leagues, they play in other leagues, they around. I mean, they could be just as fatigued as the United States players are. So, I mean, I
don't think their leagues ended up that close though to the Olympics.
I don't think it doesn't matter. I mean, this is one of these sports where you take shots every day. It's muscle memory. You got to get up shots. You got to play. You got to be up tempo every day.
Practice. That's
a
good point. Very good point.
You don't sit on the couch and just eat bonbons and go, oh, we're gonna have practice now. So,
but for the NBA players, they are used to getting an off season. Their bodies are tuned to shut off for a couple months after the NBA playoffs are done.
But my point is, there's NBA players on all these other teams in all these other countries. So I mean,
that's true.
No, I'm not saying I'm saying our NBA players look like they are absolutely exhausted. Yeah. Durant was absolutely ground to a nub in the playoffs. He had nothing left. And then to turn around and say, oh, you got to go to China and you got to play like crazy, or I'm sorry, you got to go to Japan. You got to play like, crazy at one of these tournaments.
Hey, Russell, hold on. We got to get to our quick break here. Okay. Lenny Wilkins was the coach of which team from 2000 to 2003? Lenny Wilkins was the coach of which team from the year 2000 to 2003? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Third trivia question is, Lenny Wilkins was the coach of which team from the year 2000 to 2003?
Seattle Supersonics?
No.
I think of him as Atlanta, but that was way before that.
So. And the double jeopardy, Vern still wins 1-0. It was the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, boy.
Wow. Well, I certainly forgot about that.
20 years ago. Okay, Russell, really quickly, you want to talk about NCAA, and then we got to go to our thoughts?
Yeah, if we're all about money on this show. That's one of the biggest money issues maybe in sports history.
Yeah.
Is what's going on with the NCAA and the fact that the players got that ruling in court so that they now have the rights to financially benefit off of their likenesses and their statistics and what they do in the NCAA. And so they're capable of negotiating their own contracts and making deals.
Yeah, I think it's a long time coming, and I praise the athletes for being able to capitalize on their brand. I think it's great. I've been in contact with several athletes, and they're all looking.
Now they still can't get paid for playing, but at least their likeness and stuff like that they get paid for. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready? Here's our thoughts for the day.
Well, before you do that, shout out Jalen Lewis. You talk about capitalize on your brand. He's the high school player that signed a contract with a league based out of Atlanta, the Elite League.
Well, we were going to get to that. We're going to get to that next week. We'll talk about it again. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Little tease
for next week. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Hey, why do green beans meditate? To find inner peace. And
that's a dad joke.
That's a dad joke. Okay. And here's another one. And why can't you trust large trees? Because they're usually the shadiest ones. That's fun. Okay. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.